Aw, yeah, ladies and gents, it is time for Day 9 Daily number 388, Part 2. Oh, that's not me. That's Stephano's base. Hi, welcome to the Day 9 Daily, where we learn to be a better gamer. I'd just like to give an extra special shout out to everyone in the midst of final exams. You can do it. I believe in you. You're a genius. And you know why? Because you play StarCraft 2, and you try to be a better gamer and a student. Let us divine about the beautiful playstyle that is Stephano's. He did this very cute opening where it was unusually unit-heavy for a Zerg player. Traditionally, Zerg players think of themselves as the responsive player. I have to wait to see what he does before I can make a decision. Stephano, goodness no, he came right out the gate, getting roach speed quite quickly and staying relatively low on gas geysers. He just had these two for the longest time. He's just now gotten up this third gas geyser, as you can tell by the fact that 2,500 is what they start with, and he's mined 28 of it. So just got that. And now that his opponent is not going for this third base, and he's shut his opponent in a little bit, there's been no air. Think about what you're going to be up against. You haven't seen an air opening. It looked like he was going for a third, but you just shut that down. Use your powers of deductive logic. What's left? Some crazy two-base plays. What can he do in two-base? He can go Blink or Templar. He can go Colossus. He can do any number of things. No, actually, he really can't. He can do probably three. A really big ground army with some Immortals. Sort of a cutesy ground army that's pretty big with like Blink and Storm. Colossi. I highly doubt he's going to be coming out with a bunch of air units. And we have all the expansions on the map covered. Man, I'm bad with my button pressing today. He doesn't have this expansion. He doesn't have this one. He obviously doesn't have this one, nor does he have this one, where Stephano was smart enough to place an Overlord. I think it would be hard for him to have this one up. Still going through all the possibilities. Okay, well, we're pretty much expecting big-ass ground army. So what does Stephano begin doing? He just gets a Spire up, and he gets this other Evo Chamber up. I want you just to notice the huge difference between just 30 seconds ago. I hit B once, I hit B twice, and my god, I'm about to hit it a third time. What Stephano has just done is built a whole bunch of roaches. He's about to get his +1 finished. Now notice that this is like the first phase of his early game. His early game ends ka-chunk. Actually, 7... Kabam! Alright, it ends. His early game phase is done. He has shut down all the opportunities for his opponent that the opponent would want. And now what is he going to step into? Well, he's going to make an absolute metric nerd ton of drones. And then I want you to see all this happen at once. Very quickly. +1, evolution chamber, spire, gas, gas, gas. Gets a bunch of damn gas geysers up. That is a very key thing to note. It's so easy to be confused about them, all those little details. View it as a chunk. The start chunk is a bunch of expansions and a very fast roach speed and upgrade. The middle chunk is +1 Evo Chamber, lot of gas, spire. Think of it in chunks. So that way, it's kind of like going to the grocery store and not writing down what you need to get, but just writing down how many things you need to get. You know you need 4 things. 1, upgrade. 2, 3, and then 4 is the gas geysers. Middle game consists of 4 little bits. Alright, cool. So we're still kind of hanging out, and Stephano, notice what he did. He was very careful to split things up. He doesn't actually have 2 different hotkeys. He's actually just boxing and sending. Might seem a little bit difficult to do, but it's why he gets the roach speed up. It is a little bit difficult. But he's just so damn good. And he's just going to begin churning out a lot of roaches, and he's going to begin pulling back. Now, your traditional Zerg player, again, would ordinarily say to themselves, yeah, better begin teching up, better begin doing things. No, Stephano, as we saw in that first chunk, he made almost all units and was behind his opponent in terms of workers. Then just threw out a bunch of workers, and he's right back to making units again. His first round of units was his own decision. Didn't matter what he saw from his opponent. Now we see the opponent coming out, bam, 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 making a whole lot of units. And again, this economy is timing itself. With his gas, he's going to get these upgrades up, With his remaining gas, he's going to get the roaches up. With everything else, he's going to make Zerglings. Easy peasy, Fabrizi, Parcheesi. Rushing in, overwhelming numbers. Yeah! I would have preferred 2 Zerglings to hold these watchtowers a little bit longer, but you know what? Stephano can only be so perfect. Hey, look at that. Still making Zerglings, roaches when we can. And really aggressing towards our opponent. Now, did you hear that? The Spire's done. This Spire's not actually going to come into use for quite some time. There's a very common thing that you'll see happen all the time in StarCraft, but unless it's explicitly stated, you won't think about that much. And that is, people will get a lot of upgrades and a lot of buildings for stuff that they may never even use at all. Simplest one in all of StarCraft 2, you get Zergling speed up before you have any Zerglings, really. Zergs do this against both Terrans and Protosses, getting a lot of Zerglings, if they need to. The Spire, the same way. We don't see Colossi yet, but we have to get that Spire up in case we suddenly need a bunch of Corruptors. This happens a lot in all the other matchups as well. Terrans will get a reactor on their starport, not necessarily because they will want to constantly build 2 medevacs at a time, but because they need the flexibility to be able to catch up in their medevac count quickly. A lot of builds work this way, where you get 4 medevacs out quickly and then stop with the medevac production. It's important you acknowledge that this is another move that Stephano did without any knowledge if there's a Colossus coming. This is just something that he will end up committing himself to. And the rest of the time, he's just going with roaches, aggressively rallying. And if you actually just click on his hatcheries, very often he will be re-rallying to the battle. Now, one thing that I've neglected to say at this point in time, but something that I always love to bring up, what is the plan for a player at this point in the game? A great plan would be to have these 4 bases along our left side and to try to just deny our opponent from ever getting this one, to try to pin him down to these 3 bases. And what Stephano's going to be doing is just hammering this base really hard. He's going to be trying to engage in a lot of trades. Yeah, lots of re-rallying to the battle. You even saw just a moment ago that huge re-rally that he just did, sending a whole lot of units right to this point. Everything coming out of the hatches is rallied up into battle. This is a pretty common move, moving right on up after you've made a lot of units trying to hit this point. But I want you to, again, remember this whole phase thing we were talking about. I want to come back to around 9 minutes. Of course, because you can only rewind in 2-minute increments. We're going to watch this at ×8, which may induce a little bit of lag. But here's the phase at 8 minutes where we were making nothing but units out of our own choice. Nothing but units. And then right around 10 minutes, right as our first phase was wrapping up, this very fast set of upgrades, right when that phase was done, boom, we're going to begin making a lot of drones. A lot of drones. Drone. Now as we move up to around the 13-minute mark, I want you to notice the same similarity. Making tons of units, tons and tons of units, holding off these attacks in the middle. And right as we're sort of realizing, alright, we can't exactly kill it, and right as we're starting to wrap up with the upgrades, the Spire just finished, this expansion is up, now we're going to again begin phase 3, where we're getting Infestation Pit, sending more drones to this expansion, and a big thing that we're going to be looking for is having all these gas geysers up and running. Stephano stepping into motion. And again, you heard me say that this was, a pretty normal, typical thing to do. What Stephano's doing is he's trying to force lots of trades because he gets 4 bases up so quickly. Stephano gets 4 bases up quite quickly in this matchup. And here's a little quiz. If you get 4 bases up quickly, what does that mean? What are you really getting quickly? It ain't minerals. It's the ability to get a lot of gas up early. Ha! On 3 bases, you can get a maximum saturation on 75 drones. You can't really get any more minerals if you get a 4th base and you stick to 75 drones. But it sure as hell is easy to get more gas just by plopping 2 in the gas geyser. So Stephano has this overall very sort of low econ, lot of unit aggression in your face, plus expanding, which is going to allow him to go crazy gas heavy in the late game, as opposed to just a little bit gas heavy. And by the way, I'm sure you saw all those re-rallies, constantly re-rallying into his battle. Just building more roaches, forcing those trades. There's the pathogen glands coming up, making nothing but roaches when he's out of gas, getting some Zerglings up. Mutation. But there's really not that many drones at any one particular base, but it's easy to throw 3 guys in the geysers. Pretty much staying even with his opponent in terms of that gas count all game long. So Stephano's going to be incredibly aggressive, and let's not overthink things. The first time he sees a Colossus, boom, no problem at all. Just going to go Corruptor. Aw, yeah. Now, what is his goal? What are the goals that we're describing? We're trying to keep him pinned on 3 bases. In particular, we're trying to prevent him from getting this one. Because the instant Protoss gets this base, it's very easy to get this one. And only a little bit more difficult to get this one. If this is secure, Protoss is in super pretty shape. So that's one of the reasons why Stephano's being so aggressive. If he starts being too passive, then yeah, Protoss can secure, get a big max army, and waltz it right up here. If you get 4 bases fast, what do you get a lot of? You get a lot of gas, gas, gas. Stephano, of course, preparing to do all sorts of things that are gassy related. So suddenly, with all these geysers, Stephano has the ability to both get upgrades, get infestors, get a greater spire. He gets this giganto army of doom. And thanks to the fact that Stephano is really on the money with his corruptions, never forget about the corruptions, use them liberally against stalkers, as Stephano does, like super liberally. Stephano keeping up the aggression. Are you seeing how much Stephano is attacking this game? Zergs are always like, well, I can never seem to be aggressive and attack my opponent. Well, get your roach speed upgrade really, really quickly and try to shut down his attempts to take a third. Hell, look at how much gas Stephano has. Upgrade, upgrade, hive, infestors, and he still has some extra in the bank. Ooh, num 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 num. Now there's going to be this very subtle, but at a high level, an incredibly large shift in what Stephano's strategy is going to be. If I am Stephano in this position, what I probably will end up doing is just going Roach, Ling, and Fester, building a few Corruptors to deal with Colossi as necessary. And I will be trying to pound this third really, really hard. I'll be trying to do aggressive mass amounts of stuff. You'll notice Stephano has overall lost more. Exactly. He's trying to hurl money at his problem. He's trying to do an inefficient unit mix just to try to take this down, and thanks to the fact that he has so many bases up, it looks like he may have the opportunity to do so. So many players will make the mistake of thinking, yeah, I'm just default going for Broodlords. That's all I ever want to do as Zerg, is get a big Broodlord army. We're seeing Stephano start to push up here, and what I say in all the dailies that I will especially want to emphasize in this one is that strategies are built around expansions. That is the big thing to note. Right now, this base, we could probably pound it apart with some base units plus some infestors. We could probably wreck that one pretty hard. However, now Protoss suddenly is starting to get the ability to secure this base. And God bless you, Stephano, getting the Overlord speed. Oh god, few things wound my soul more than when people don't do that. And this is a moment that is really gross for Zerg. When Protoss is starting to look like, yeah, I can't actually crack this, and Protoss can take this really easily. This is the moment where I would say your average Zerg bear would slowly be whittled away, like really slowly, and would eventually lose. But we're going to see a massive shift in the overall game plan of Stephano. Suddenly the game plan is no longer drill the third, try to break him with overwhelming numbers, to, again, prevent him from taking this expansion. I actually want to come to the Stephano cam. I'm going to move my viewport up here to the top and join me for a journey to the minimap. The overall goal, again, was to lock Protoss on these 3 bases. Try to prevent him from getting up, in particular, these 3 bases. Now, Stephano is going to do a huge shift. He is going to try to lock down these central 6 bases, and then use a really slow Broodlord army to try to lock down these central 2 bases. And try to win on 6 base versus 4 base. And now, everything that Stephano is going to do is going to go away from the mass mineral focus of Roach, Zergling, and aggression, and into a gas focus. And that's pretty powerful. If for some reason Protoss was looking shaky, I probably wouldn't be building this many Infestors. I probably wouldn't be turtling up like this. I would be going for the win right there, and making sure he doesn't take this. But now that Protoss is looking quite secure, that's when Stephano begins stepping into his much more scary late game that involves these 2 spires. How cool. How freaking cool. Suddenly everything is mineral only. Not that many roaches, just a lot of these juicy gas units. Still upgrading. Yeah, now you're starting to see why he started those +1 melee attacks early on. So that way he can end up with very potent Broodlords in his mixture. And in about 1 more minute, I will pause to go on to part number 3. But very cool getting himself this extra hatchery, even though his money might imply that he can't do that. This is like the Protoss player who gets 20 warp gates when he's maxed. Not because he can produce 20 things at a time, but because when he hits maxed, when he dips under, he wants to replenish back to maxed really quickly. And of course, the aggression from Stephano seems to have completely stopped, and now he's just inching forward, taking these bases. And we're going to watch the latter half of the game in just a moment, but still, doing a good job spotting, being very careful, not really ever engaging past this point, because he has no vision there. Just Ling, Corruptor, Roach, always want to attack from a nice wide space. Don't attack through these things, unless you have some guys down here and some guys up here, and you're attacking from all 3 angles. But are you feeling the tonal shift of Stephano's play? From attack, 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 attack. Ooh, gotta make some roaches to defend. And back to attacking, back to attacking, back to attacking. All the while, sneaking and expand. Sneaking in an infestation pit and a hive. And almost everything is timed critically on when these gas geysers are built. First, just 2. Then, a little while later, a 3rd one. And then all as we're transitioning into mid-game, we get 5. And now that we're transitioning into late game, we get 8. We got those expansions up pretty early, but we were very patient about getting our gas geysers up. Going to a break! When we come back, the conclusion of Stephano kicks ass. Yeah.